all religion, how do they intend to do this? Interesting, this is one of my favorite statements they make about this. Time was when faith ruled. 5 words, but it says so much. There was a time in our history when we were ruled by our faith. God was in charge. We'd listen to his shepherds. We'd follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit. This is how we actually were ruled at one time. Think of, what happened when the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. Do you know that these people really knew their doctrine and things? I mean, most people think that these were just a bunch of survivalists. No, they, among other things, you know that they did not allow on America the practice of Halloween or Christmas because they knew their occult origins. It was only 50 years later that these and other occult holidays were allowed to be brought into America. But these people were ruled by their faith. It is with this object in view that we are constantly, by means of our press, arousing a blind confidence in these theories. We have long taken care to discredit the priesthood of the Goyim, and thereby to ruin their mission on earth, which in these days might still be a great hindrance to us. Day by day, its influence on the peoples of the world is falling lower. What was the great mission that God gave over to his children, the priesthood? What was this great mission we were given? Preach the gospel of salvation and make believers of all men. Do you know why the Illuminati had to do this? Because they state we could still be a great hindrance to them if we were doing this. But their statement, day by day, its influence on the peoples of the world is falling lower. And that's because we're doing less and less and less as the months and years are rolling by. I don't think we have to wait for revival to happen. I think our own individual actions, collectively working, will cause it to come about. When we come into our kingdom, it will be undesirable for us that there should exist any other religion than ours. Let's face it, the Illuminati does not like competition. They're going to form a one-world religion with Lucifer being the head of it. We must therefore sweep away all other forms of belief. Isn't it funny? If I was to take my Bible and walk into a high school, junior high, I could be arrested and thrown in prison. Yet, and I did this when I was younger, I could take a copy of the Satanic Bible and no one can lift a finger to me. Tell me something is not going on here. Especially when I have to, go to court just, for the right to carry on my Bible. I always thought that this was supposed to be a Christian nation. At least that's what I've been led to believe. This is a good one. Listen very carefully. But even freedom might be harmless and have its place in the state economy without injury to the well-being of the peoples if it rested upon the foundation of faith in God, upon the brotherhood of humanity, unconnected with the conception of equality, which is negated by the very laws of creation, for they have established subordination. With such a faith as this, a people might be governed by a worship of parishes and would walk contentedly and humbly under the guiding hand of its spiritual pastor, submitting to the dispositions of God upon earth. This is the reason why it is indispensable for us to undermine all faith, to tear out of the minds of the chattel the very principle of Godhead and the Spirit, and to put in its place arithmetical calculations and material needs. You people are such a threat to them that they literally had to tear out of the people's minds the principle of Godhead, the need of the Holy Spirit, and to place in it ridiculous sciences and material needs. Well, I've just got to outdo the Joneses. I've got to work 20 hours in 24 days just so I can prove that I'm better than they are. Funny thing is, my Bible reminds me that we are supposed to be equal. I never read where it said I'm better than anyone. As a matter of fact, Paul once said, I am the chief of all sinners. Paul understood his position. He was no better than anyone else. And yet, the Illuminati is making sure that we think we have to be better than our next door neighbors. I've seen it happen more times than I know what to do with. Abolition of all religion. How did they plan to do this? By discrediting the priesthood or the Christian church and replacing faith in God with scientific theory. Why? So the people would be guided by the Illuminati and not by God. Why do you think right now incidences such as the Oklahoma City bombing, the David Koresh incident, all these things, among other things, are making Christianity look very bad? Literally speaking, we're being made to look like we're right-wing fundamentalist kooks. That's what they want to do. And the thing is, we're letting them do it and get away with it. They're not going to speak out for our good, so it's about time we start speaking up for our own good. Abolition of the family. This is one of my favorites. How do they plan to take care of the family? There's only one little section I took out of the protocols, because as far as I'm concerned, it says it all. We shall destroy among the chattel the importance of the family and its educational value. I think that about says it all, don't you? You know? They said what they're going to do is just take the importance of it and get rid of it. If they do that, they've got it. How were they doing this? Well, how many of you can say population zero growth? Occult run daycare centers. Consider that 1 in every 2 marriages end up in divorce. How about these modern day temples of Moloch, which we politically, in the correct vernacular, call abortion clinics? If you study the way they are executing these babies in these abortion clinics, you're going to find out that these methods are old hat. They were doing it all the way back in the temples of Moloch. This is why during the early parts of the 70s, the Illuminati were funneling tens of millions of dollars behind this cause, because they wanted all this blood to be spilled, because it would be considered very viable human sacrifices unto Lucifer.